Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with the video. I am 21F. My boyfriend, or ex, is 23M. We've been dating for about 2.5 years now, and I held him down the entirety of his prison sentence. Red flags came up here and there, but whatever, I'm in love with him. Flash forward to him coming home. He needs a car and cannot get approved for one. The more frustrated he gets, the more he gets mad at me for not being able to buy him a car. I need your help. Why won't you do this for me? I literally couldn't. I would have. I had just gotten my loan approved for my car, and opening another loan would have screwed me up so young. I also didn't trust that he would pay me back for 6 years because he was so unstable. So he decides on getting a bike. Cheaper and much easier to get approved, right? He still couldn't. He's super young with no credit history, was gone for 2 years, so what does he expect? He loses it. He goes nuts on me. He says, "You're not actually helping me. You're letting me suffer. All I need you to do is this one thing, and you won't. You don't actually love me." It sucked. He guilt-tripped me. He was literally just putting in my information, my banking information, my social security into this stupid website while I was next to him sobbing. I couldn't stop him from buying it, or he said he was going to leave me. So, he won. His bike comes 2 weeks later, bought by my credit. I was devastated. I knew this purchase was so stupid. Winter was coming in literally 2 weeks, but there was nothing I could do to stop him. And I was right. It was the dumbest purchase I have ever seen another human make. He drove around my neighborhood once, parked it in my garage, and he has not looked at it since. He did get it registered under his name. I thought it was weird because I was technically buying it, but he was registering it under his name. 2 months later, I'm begging him to make every payment on time. It's causing me so much stress and anxiety that I have to worry about someone else's bills. February comes. He tells me he doesn't have the money for it. I straight up panic. He had just gotten paid and doesn't have the money for it. He says if I talk to him about it again, he would leave me. Every time I bring up his bill, he walks away, acting as if I'm asking him to pay one of my bills. His own purchase. He's so cold about it that I was so done. I knew he was going to leave me one of these days, so I wanted to take advantage before he did. I went onto the app and I changed the payment method to his card. I know this is where I went wrong, but I was so desperate. It was already late, so it charged his account immediately. He was furious, blocked me on everything, said he's going to press charges. Could I press charges too? Am I the a-hole? We haven't been together for weeks. He's my ex. I know I was being abused, okay? Things weren't always like this. He switched up on me overnight. I'm sorry. I wanted somebody to love me. I left when things got too bad to get better. What? Of course you are not the asshole for making him pay for his own purchase. Not the a-hole. But OP, you have to get away from this abusive, conniving, thieving, deceitful man. You need to try to find the strength to stand up for yourself. Remove this asshole from your life. Tell him it's over, boot him out of your home, change all your locks, make new passwords for all of your accounts, and make a solemn promise to yourself to never again let someone treat you like this. If you don't know how to do any of this, call the domestic abuse hotline today and explain your situation. They will help you. Please, nothing good will ever come from being with this man. You must get out. If you need to know, the National Domestic Violence Hotline number is 1-800-799-7233. 100% I'm not the a-hole. He had no right to do that and manipulated you by telling you he would leave you if you didn't buy his bike. Not to mention saying that you don't really love him because you weren't going to make a stupid purchase that you couldn't afford. He is clearly a terrible boyfriend, and I hope you can see that you are better off without him anyway. In terms of the legal stuff, you should definitely speak to a lawyer. I don't really know anything about that stuff. Please take all the comments about abuse seriously. I know you love him, and I'm sure he has many good qualities that are not listed here. But this does sound like an extremely abusive relationship. Emotional abuse, financial abuse, it all adds up. He is sucking you dry and taking everything he can get from you. You are far too young to have your life and your credit ruined by someone who is clearly making some bad choices and making you pay for it. I know it is easy to overlook red flags because you love him, but loving someone doesn't mean you set yourself on fire to keep them warm. If he loved you, he would want what is best for you, and his actions clearly indicate otherwise. Not the a-hole. Next story. I, 49F, have a big family on my mother's side. My mother has 14 siblings, 7 remaining, and I have almost 30 cousins. Well, my mother's family is a very complicated family, but I won't talk about that. I have a cousin, Fred, 35M, whom my family has no contact with, only a few, and his mother is talking to him. The reason why this happened was years ago, he got someone pregnant and got married to her. They were married 3 years and got divorced. It's a messy divorce. My niece is staying with her mother, and that's much better. Fred loved his daughter very much. He quit his job, which was very far away from us, in order to see his daughter, and would give her anything and play with her. That was before. He met a woman, Kara, 45F, and she's a teacher. They got into a relationship, but my family weren't happy with this, because it seems like Kara was being a sugar mommy to Fred. Fred was jobless ever since he left his job for his daughter, and Kara is giving him money most of the time. Ever since he met Kara, he seems to have abandoned his responsibility as a father to his own daughter. Later, he announced that he and Kara are getting married. My family was furious because he did not show up to his wedding. They didn't like Kara at all, and she was the reason why Fred and his sister got into a messy fight, which led him to raise his hand on her, and some of our acquaintances told us that Kars had been bad-mouthing our family. Fred's ex-wife is on good terms with us, so when we talked about the wedding, she asked us not to bring her daughter to Fred, as he's not making an effort to see her anymore, nor is he paying for child support. And if she finds out we went against her wishes, she won't bring her daughter to us anymore. We agreed. Kara soon gave birth and had a baby girl, Kimmy, who is a year old now. None of our family went to see her, not even once, except for Fred's mother. I also went to see her and only had a few conversations with them. Kimmy gets easily sick often. Fred is still jobless because he gets fired every time he has a job, and Kara is a teacher, but Kimmy's hospital fees are pretty much bigger than the carer's allowance, so I offered to pay. After all, she's my niece. My husband has been supporting me for this. I was invited to their house for dinner, and some friends were invited as well. We were talking at the table, and I excused myself to go to the bathroom. When I got out, a guy I knew was outside the bathroom and told me to follow him. We were standing near a wall, and I could hear Fred talking, saying how I'm like a credit card to them, and how naive and stupid I could be. And my mother was right that I was weak-minded, hurt, and that was my insecurity, and I would always be bullied for that. I was on the verge of tears. I went out and told him that I wouldn't be paying for Kimmy's hospital fees in the future. Fred and Kara tried to reason with me, but I didn't give them a chance. Ever since then, I refused to talk to them. Am I the a-hole? This story is very difficult to follow. It is just all over the place and has a lot of unnecessary detail. Like, what is the relevance of the subplot with the ex-wife? I don't even understand what happened there. Also, Kimmy isn't your niece if Fred is your cousin. That added to the confusion. If what you were trying to say is that Fred made some hurtful remarks about you and you refused to pay for something for Kimmy, then not the a-hole. But perhaps edit for clarity next time. Unfortunately, you found out that your brothers think you are and treat you as a doormat, as a credit card they don't have to pay off. and nothing more. You rightly cut them off. Now, they can deal with the fallout from that conversation. And it's their problem, not yours. Save your money and spend it on something you enjoy. Not the a-hole. You don't need to pay for anything. On the other hand, I will say that Kimmy doesn't deserve to be punished any more than she will for having terrible parents. If you want to just pay because she needs treatment, pay it directly to the medical facility so that they get nothing. You're not obligated to do this. I'm just saying separate how you feel about Fred and Kara from how you feel about Kimmy, and make your decision then. Don't let them maneuver you into a decision you might regret. That poor kid. She's so screwed. Also, please don't let them convince you that it's weak to do the right thing. Paying for a child's medical treatment when they aren't your responsibility is always a good thing, not weak. Fred is obviously not a trustworthy judge of strength or goodness. Next story. I, 32F, have been dating my boyfriend, 34M, for 2 years. We have a pretty nice relationship, and we just moved in together. We don't fight a lot. When we do fight, it's mainly over one thing. His best friend Eddie. Eddie is like your typical man who never left his glory days in high school. They were the best years of his life, and he never went much farther after that. Eddie is dirty, he doesn't have a job, and he smokes weed all day. Whenever he and my boyfriend get together, my boyfriend regresses to high school again. And although he has fun, it sets him back for days. My boyfriend misses work, he lies, and he becomes horrible to live with. When Eddie falls on hard times, he leans on my boyfriend for money and shelter. It is expected at this point. No questions asked. 3 weeks ago, Eddie was kicked out of wherever he was staying, and my boyfriend told him he could stay with us. I was very against this as we had just gotten our apartment. It's small, and I didn't want Eddie there. I was overruled. For 2 weeks, Eddie lived with us. He ate $200 worth of groceries in 5 days, basically ruined a $2,000 couch, and he also liked to sprinkle when he tinkled all over the toilet seat. Yes, he was disgusting, but my boyfriend insisted he would be out soon, and Eddie was like his brother. We could not and would not be throwing him out because he had nowhere to go. I dealt with it until I couldn't. My final straw was when I came home from work one night and I found him sleeping in my bed in his boxers, under the covers. I flipped. I tossed him out, not caring where he went, as long as it wasn't my apartment. My boyfriend freaked out when he got home like I'd never seen before. He hasn't talked to me since. He also has been sleeping on the couch. My boyfriend keeps telling me he is homeless now because of me. Was I too harsh? Did I overreact? Did I let my temper get the best of me here? Thanks everyone for the advice. My boyfriend came home earlier and was still cold to me. I confronted him and he told me that yes, he was still mad and quote, he didn't think I was capable of kicking someone out when they were down, which was in reference to kicking Eddie out and making him homeless. He also admitted to giving Eddie money for a hotel. Since hearing that, I have decided it was best we take this weekend, and possibly more, apart so we could think. This time, I was not overruled. For people wondering about Eddie in our bed, 1. I washed those sheets. 100% I was not sleeping on them without doing that. 2. My boyfriend's response was basically, that's no reason to leave him without a place to stay. He currently is still not speaking to me and has not been home for a few hours. We have never had a fight like this. I have expressed his enabling habits and he does not want to hear it. Nor does he really want to talk. As a person who was raised to think of others before yourself, this is all playing on my guilt to kick him out. I don't think I should feel like the maid or intruder or uncomfortable in my own space though. It's a tough situation with my boyfriend laying on the guilt, plus my own, but I can't see this guy back in my apartment again. He's homeless because of his actions and not because of you. The dude needs to grow up and realize he's graduated high school nearly 2 decades ago, if he didn't repeatedly fail grades. Honestly, if the dude wants to party all day, that's his business, but if he was a true friend, he wouldn't be bringing your boyfriend down with him. It was shitty to toss him to the curb, but honestly, I don't blame you because I probably do the same thing. Not the a-hole. Your boyfriend shouldn't be supporting his failure to launch best bud who can't get his act together. Not the a-hole. It's your home too. You shouldn't have been overruled in the first place. The guy went beyond the bounds of acceptable behavior, and your boyfriend shouldn't be enabling the toxic behavior. A great rule of thumb for many married couples when it comes to the household is 2 yes, 1 no. This should apply to unmarried couples as well. If it was an emergency and he was staying the night, that would have been one thing, but that clearly wasn't the case. There was no timeline and no date given. Your boyfriend needs to realize he was a part of the problem. Next story. I, 26F, am planning a wedding. My partner and I have decided we will have a kid-friendly wedding. I know it's not for everyone, but my family has kids ranging from 7 to 17. We sent out RSVPs, and in my college group chat, the following occurred. One girl had her baby in December. Our wedding is in November, making the baby just under a year old. She asked in the group chat if it would be okay to bring her baby, and I kindly informed her that we asked children below 5 not to be in attendance. She said no big deal, she would just get her mom to watch the baby. Then shit hit the fan. On my wedding page, I did say anyone who has reached well over their limit will be escorted out of the reception. It seems no one could believe I was having a non-child-free wedding or that I would kick people out for getting shit-faced. Which, if you know me, you wouldn't be shocked. I've been a nanny for 8 years now, and even my old nanny's family will be in attendance. I also don't like people to get trashed. I've been to too many weddings that felt more like frat parties, and I just don't like that vibe. It just isn't me. One girl went as far as to say that it was inappropriate to have children in attendance. I didn't really understand. My grandparents and my partner's grandmother were going to be there. Did they think that the absence of kids would mean that I would be playing explicit music and shaking my ass? I don't know. Several people in the group have said that they feel uncomfortable and don't think they could make it. I finally asked why. Why was it such a big deal? The reason being they don't feel comfortable with getting drunk around kids. I said, so you'll skip my wedding because you can't get drunk? My wedding isn't an excuse for people to get trashed. But now, most of my college friends, with the exception of one, RSVP'd no. Over 20 plus people said no. I asked the girl who said yes, and she said, I got trashed at my wedding and missed the reception. Several people had to be carried out, and it was overall embarrassing. So I understand why you don't want people to get too crazy. But am I the a-hole for not making my wedding more comfortable for my guests? So there's been some comments regarding the kicking out. The message didn't say, you'll get kicked out, verbatim. This is what we posted on our site. We asked that while on the premises that people please respect the property as well as the other guests. Rules listed about the property and smoking, firearms, outside alcohol, etc. We are so excited to spend our special day with all of our loved ones and cannot wait for an exceptionally fun-filled reception, filled with good music, great food, and an evening that hopefully will be remembered for years to come. There will be an open bar complimentary of partners' parents, as well as an officer present to positively ID those of age. We do ask that guests please refrain from drinking beyond their limit to ensure the safety of everyone in attendance. Again, please keep in mind an officer will be present, and any guest behavior that warrants concern will kindly be asked to retire for the evening. We look forward to spending our special day with you all. We were required, per our contract with the venue, to have an officer present if any alcohol is being served. We are also financially responsible for any damages done by our guests during the time of our wedding, including broken fixtures, damages to the property, and even removal of hazardous waste, aka vomit. No a-holes here. I'm gonna be honest, I would also be slightly put off by an invitation that threatened to kick people out for drinking too much, even with the way that it's phrased. It's also a little conflicting with the fact that you'll have a completely open bar, a bridesmaid mimosa bar, and personalized flasks with liquor or choice for groomsmen. It sounds like it's an alcohol-heavy event, but then also has that on the invitation. So a little bit of mixed messages. I guess I also wonder how strict the beyond your limits is. I like to have a few drinks at weddings, never trashed or very drunk, but I would also be nervous about what that means. It just also seems confusing to provide all of that and then have the message not to really use it. Not the a-hole at all. There is no need to get shit-faced at a wedding, whether there are kids or not. I wouldn't want kids there, and I'd still kick out people treating it like a bar or a frat house. If you only go to weddings to get drunk, do everyone a favor and not go. Social drinking and getting drunk are not equal, and if they want to be drunk, they can go to a bar. In my opinion, drunk adults and young children both need to be babysat, which makes everything a lot less fun.